Why do we need to learn to listen to our intuition more? Well, I think it's not a stretch, regardless of your politics, to when you look around the world today to say that we're not really doing the best that we can. There is too much needless suffering, and the way that we have done things hasn't worked. I mean, we have relied on our businesses to change things. We have relied on our politics to change things. We have relied on our religions to change things. And none of these are inherently bad. I mean, institutions aren't inherently bad. It's like money. It's the way that it's used. And so I think that we need a way of going beyond that. We need a way of inner knowingness that doesn't force us to rely on what our business leaders tell us. It doesn't force us to rely on what our politicians tell us. And then this in turn will give us better business leaders and give us better politicians. So I think that it's like spiritually there's no separation between what goes on in your own heart and mind and then what happens in the world. Everything in our world is a reflection of the content of our thoughts and emotions. So, I mean, you can think about this just on a practical level. We spend too much money, we're greedy, we buy houses that we can't afford, and then we're surprised when we have an economic collapse that's based on, corporate bigwigs doing exactly the same thing. Or we don't reuse, we don't recycle, we aren't conscious of the environment around us, and then we're surprised when we have a warming of our planet, or we're surprised when we have an acid rain, or, we bully people in our own lives. We aren't as kind as we should be. We aren't as forgiving as we should be. And we're shocked when we have a crisis of bullying in this country. And so every single thing that happens out there in the world starts in our own hearts and minds. But that is not something that makes you powerless. It's something that makes you incredibly powerful. I think that we like to say that, things happen out there and there's nothing I can do about that. It's so untrue. I mean, you are incredibly powerful and you are huge on a cosmic scale. There's more smallness inside your body than largeness in our galaxy. I think when you consider that for a moment, you are not small and inconsequential. But we convince ourselves that we're small and inconsequential so we don't have to take any responsibility for the fact that there is too much needless suffering in our world. And what I am very interested in is what are the ways that we can reorient those thoughts in our own hearts and minds so that we change our interactions with the people in our lives, knowing that as we do that, we begin to change our world. And I don't think that it's apocalyptic or dramatic to say that if things don't change on this planet, things could be very serious. And so I feel like when you're talking about weapons that can destroy everybody in a building while leaving the building intact, when you're talking about genetically engineered biological weapons, I mean, you really are talking about a level of destruction never seen on this planet. I mean, you think of a lot of people died during the Inquisition, and a lot of people died, at different wars, but there really has never been a time before in history in which one person could destroy the world. That is no longer the case. And so the only way to avoid that is to come to some different, better way of understanding our world. And I posit to you that the way to do that is by listening to our own intuition.